respectfully invite the Honorable Minister for Higher Education and Social Justice, Government of Kerala, Dr. R. Bindu, to do the honors. I also invite our distinguished dignitaries to kindly come forward and participate in the lighting of the lamp ceremony. Thank you all. May I now respectfully invite the Honorable Minister for the inaugural address.
Respected President of the session, Professor Jagadiraj VP, the Vice Chancellor of Sri Narayana Guru Open University, respected Professor Rajan Gurukal, Vice Chairman of Kerala State Higher Education Council, Professor Peter Scott, Chief Executive Officer of Commonwealth of Learning Canada, who will be joining us online. Professor Sanjeev Sonavain, the President of Indian Association of Public Open Universities and Vice Chancellor of Yashwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University, Dr. B. Shadrach, Director of the Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, Advocate VP Prashant Member Syndicate, Dr. Abhilash Babu and Professor Sudishna Babu, distinguished Vice Chancellors, esteemed colleagues, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and at the very outset, let me extend warm greetings to all of you on behalf of the Higher Education Department of Kerala. I hereby express my profound sense of gratification at this opportunity to address this conference of Open University Vice Chancellors. I understand this august gathering will deliberate on protocols to be adopted for credit transfer and meaningful collaboration among all open universities, which is a challenging but most opportune task. We gather here not merely as institutional leaders, but as stewards of a powerful idea that education must be open, accessible, flexible, and transformative. Since the establishment of pioneering institutions such as the Open University in the United Kingdom and Indira Gandhi National Open University in India, the open and distance learning movement has reshaped the global higher education landscape. What began as an innovative alternative has evolved into a central pillar of lifelong learning worldwide. Today, open universities serve millions of learners, working adults, rural communities, women returning to education, differently abled learners, migrants, and those for whom conventional systems remain inaccessible. Open universities were born from a bold conviction that higher education should not be confined by geography, age, income, prior circumstances, or conventional pathways. We exist because opportunity should not have a closing date. Our institutions stand as living proof that talent is universal, even when opportunity is not. Today, as we convene, the world around us is changing at extraordinary speed. Technology reshapes how knowledge is created and shared. Economies demand new skills at a relentless pace. Learners seek flexibility, relevance, and meaning in their educational journeys. And societies look to universities not only for research and innovation, but for inclusion, equity, and hope. In this landscape, open universities are not peripheral. As our Vice Chancellor has rightly pointed out, it's not peripheral but pivotal. Open universities serve working parents studying after midnight, rural learners placed at the wrong side of the digital divide, mid-career professionals trying hard to reinvent themselves at multiple obstructions, and first-generation students who dare to dream beyond inherited limitations. In doing so, we do more than award degrees. We unlock human potential. It is clear that some of these students are not capable of keeping pace with a normal course of study. Some are waylaid by life's many storms and trials, and quite a few are trapped by circumstances. It's the Open University's onerous task to lead our students to their chosen destination and beyond. Yet, with this grand mission comes great responsibility. We must ask ourselves, how do we preserve academic excellence while upscaling access? How do we harness digital transformation without losing human connection? How do we ensure that flexibility does not compromise rigor and that innovation remains anchored in integrity? Blind adherence to digital technology can seriously hamper human involvement, even as we cannot be left in a pre-digital dark age. Harnessing the digital, we should bridge the human gap entailed by the distance in open education, somehow surmounting the digital divide itself. These questions are not challenges to fear. They are opportunities to lead. Open universities have long been innovators in distance learning, blended delivery, online assessment, recognition of prior learning, and student support models designed for non-traditional learners. What was once considered unconventional has become mainstream. The world has in many ways caught up with the open universities. But leadership now demands more than adaptation, it demands collaboration. This conference offers us a vital space to share research, compare model, share best practices, strengthen partnerships, and collectively shape the next chapter of open and distance education. No single institution can solve the complexities of the modern higher education ecosystem alone. Together, however, we represent an extraordinary reservoir of expertise, experience, and influence. Let us use this time to reaffirm our shared commitment to widening participation, exchange bold ideas about digital transformation and artificial intelligence, strengthen quality assurance frameworks that uphold trust, advocate collectively for policies that recognize lifelong learning as essential to national development, and most importantly, place our learners in all their diversity at the center of every strategy we design. Through structured collaboration, we can co-develop programs, share digital resources, jointly supervise research, and build cross-border academic communities. Instead of duplicating effort, we can pool expertise. Instead of competing for learners, we can co-create pathways for them. Credit transfer and academic mobility are significant issues for us to address at this juncture. Our learners are often mobile, geographically, professionally, and socially. Yet our systems are not always designed to recognize prior learning seamlessly. A robust and mutually trusted credit transfer framework among open universities would be revolutionary. It would allow a learner in one state or country to complete a degree or diploma in another. It would enable stackable credentials, micro-certifications, and lifelong accumulation of academic attainments. It would affirm that learning, wherever and however acquired, has value. To achieve this, we must align quality assurance mechanisms, harmonize credit systems, build digital transcript infrastructures, and establish transparent equivalence standards. Trust must be institutionalized, not assumed. The role of open universities has evolved from mere providers of distance degrees to architects of lifelong learning ecosystems. The open universities are now partners to industry, as our Vice Chancellor has rightly pointed out. We are bridges between formal and informal education, engines of reskilling and upskilling in economies undergoing rapid transformation in a globalized situation. In an era where traditional universities grapple with rising costs and capacity limits, open universities offer scalable, technology-enabled, learner-centered models. We must embrace blended delivery, adaptive learning technologies, open educational resources, and recognition of prior experiential learning. At the same time, we must preserve academic rigor and uphold public trust. The future of higher education will not belong solely to the largest, the oldest, or the most traditional institutions. It will belong to those who are agile, inclusive, and courageous enough to rethink what a university can be. Colleagues, the future of higher education will not be defined by exclusivity, but by inclusion. Not by isolation, but by networks. Not by rigid pathways, but by flexible learning journeys. Let me take this opportunity to take note of the commendable interventions that Srinarayana Guru Open University has most efficiently and effectively undertaken. Though still in its infancy, the university has made admirable attainment in promoting distance learning and achieving success. The university has initiated a carefully crafted program of action to collaborate with local bodies, with Kudumbashri, the largest organized women and empowerment initiative in Kerala, and with Saksharada Mission, the country's most efficient literacy program to turn the state of Kerala into a skilled population with a degree for everyone. We have chalked out a leading role for the university in recognizing skill credits that can then be transferred to other universities offering formal education. I am proud that this university is taking pioneering steps to make Open University education a leader in next generation higher education by jointly organizing this conference. Let this conference mark a turning point where we move from dialogue to frameworks, from intent to agreements, from vision to implementation. Imagine joint degrees delivered across borders. Imagine shared digital libraries and collaborative research addressing global challenges, climate change, public health, sustainable development, digital equity, etc. Most importantly, imagine the millions of learners whose aspirations become achievable because we chose to work together. Let us use this opportunity to democratize knowledge, to widen participation, and to ensure that education remains a public good in an increasingly unequal world. Let us approach our discussions with openness of mind, generosity of spirit, and courage of innovation. The decisions we make here will shape not only our institutions, but the future of learners we may never meet, yet whose lives we profoundly influence. With great optimism and deep respect for the work each of you leads, I hereby declare this Conference of Open University Vice-Chancellors as officially inaugurated. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words. We now move to a significant academic milestone in the collaborative journey of Srinarayana Guru Open University and COAL SEMCA, the release of the SGOU Graduate Employability Framework. I respectfully invite the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jagdiraj VP, to formally release the framework, and I invite the Honorable Minister to receive it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. On this auspicious occasion, we also have the pleasure of releasing the Participant Handbook and Facilitator Guide for the Model Qualification Pack for Assistant Homestay Manager, NCVET framework, developed by Uttarakhand Open University with the support of COAL SEMCA. I respectfully invite the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Uttarakhand Open University, Professor Dr. Naveen Chandra Lohani, to formally release the handbook, and I invite Professor Dr. Rajan Gurukul to receive it. Thank you all. We now have the privilege of hearing a special address by a distinguished academician and thinker whose insights into higher education policy and reform continue to guide national discourse. I respectfully invite Professor Dr. Rajan Gurukul, the Honorable Vice Chairman of Kerala State Higher Education Council, for the special address. Sir, please.
Dr. R. Bindu, Honorable Minister for Higher Education and Social Justice, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Jagdiraj, Professor Peter Scott, Professor Sanjeev Sonavain, Professor even without professorship, it's fine. Dr. P. Shadrash, Advocate V.P. Prashant, Dr. Abhilash Babu, distinguished Vice Chancellors and other dignitaries. Good morning, all of you. You may know that the first university was founded in Bologna by a team of 8 students. That was in 1088. The students thought that instead of we going around meeting scholars and clarifying our questions, why don't we invite the professors periodically and make arrangements for stay in a place so that for a given period of time we would be able to discuss with them and take the benefits of discussion, acquire knowledge, and then go on. That happened to be the first university in the world, which means university was founded actually by learners, and they brought a team of scholars periodically and then made arrangements for their stay and learnt from them. Bologna became a model soon in Europe, and various universities like Oxford, Cambridge, and so on followed. After this, Europe never had to turn back. That was the turning point of Europe's development. Two lessons are important here, that it is a curiosity-driven team of students, learners, which is important. And it is for their purpose the institution is established. And I need hardly tell you how the so-called university got entrenched as an institution stifled by statutory limitations and then various other bodies, which were in the process bureaucratized, and then you all know how various limitations came in between, obstructing actual learning process, how we lost, because of the given kind of social practices, curiosity-driven children. We don't give good answers satisfying children, the Homo sapien babies who appear on the earth with questions. When these small babies run around, now they examine everything. They are not satisfied with the arrangements we have made in the room and the various books, periodicals, whatever, put on the teapot. Everything they pull out, and then if you carefully watch, they rearrange them in their own way. And disallowing them, we impose on them our order. That has been continuing. No child was given satisfactory, curiosity-sustaining answer. They could have very well been sustained with curiosity and also given very intelligent answers. Anyway, we cannot go back to history, but in 1969, UK had a serious thought about liberating the university or the learning institution more or less in the Bologna model, and then opening the university for learners, for places, for methods and ideas. And at that time, the available technology, as you know, was the technology of radio and then soon the technology of television. So they opened their learning facility through air and then through television, and then declared that this institution is totally liberated from all kinds of entrenching statutes, regulations, and so on. Anybody who is interested in learning could join the university. No minimum qualification, no restriction, nothing. And that happened in 23 April 1969. The first registration, that's just posting a letter. That was done 23rd April. This university, as you know, came into being as a result of the Royal Charter. Now, we are in an altogether different phase of technology. Now, digital technology and then generative AI-powered tools allow the students to form part of the community of global learners. That is the advantage of the technology. So technology has already liberated education. And those learners who were wrenching themselves away from the shackles of regulations, administrative bodies, and so on, now can easily form part of the global community of learners and then start learning on their own. They can even sit at home and learn. They can ask the generative AI-powered tool, very much democratized these days, ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT their doubts. But generally people ignore the ChatGPT caveat that there could be mistakes in the responses that the ChatGPT gives. And then the ChatGPT interaction is limited by the ability to ask questions. If you ask questions really out of curiosity, you can see ChatGPT fumbling, and ChatGPT wouldn't be able to satisfy real challenging questions. Anyway, that is the level of openness now available for students. Now, if they are really assisted by maverick professors who can be critical intermediaries between ChatGPT responses or any such interactive tools. Some professors are really capable of starting their program with a ChatGPT opened in the class, asking students to interact with ChatGPT, and then the professor would silently note down the wrong responses given by ChatGPT, contradictions, biases, and so on. Now, after the interaction is over, the teacher will take three positions. One, to critically review the responses given by ChatGPT and then critically reviewing the questions raised by the outmoded and obsolete nature of the questions raised by the students. And then, thirdly, what the maverick professor has in mind. This is not to tell students that you should have asked these questions, just saying that these are my humble questions. Responses are not available in print. You will not see in any of the books. You will not get proper answers from any of the chatbot interactive tools. I have tentative answers, and jointly we can investigate further, and every day we can improve our questions and responses. This is learning. Now we have to start with square one, that is where to look for curiosity driven students. Where are they lost? And it is not easy for us to revamp the entire institutions from kindergarten onwards that are suppressing the curiosity of children, that are suppressing the Homo sapien babies, gene-driven curiosity. Now, another major turn of our times is the appearance of Generation Alpha students in the higher education field. They are screen age children. They developed their sensibility out of all these instruments. They looked at cartoons and learned various complicated themes, relationships, and processes which we, the baby boomers, wouldn't be able to understand. Now, particularly a person like me, I'm an aged person. Relatively speaking, you are very young people. So generally, I believe that I am still at the age of 28, and I am only celebrating very soon golden jubilee of my year. I don't grow, but there is no way to escape. I have to be old, and then I will have to be disappearing from the earth very soon, anytime, any moment. It's a different issue. But now our problem is the distance between baby boomers and then the Gen Alpha generation that has developed its sensibility through digital tools. They are the perceptors and appreciators of the screen, not printed material. We have to recognize this, which means we have to convert the entire complicated theories and concepts into pictures. How do we do that? Now we will be able to do this only with the help of these children. They know how to convert the abstract ideas into pictures. You would have noticed that in various softwares coming up in the domain of communication, you think about a word, then immediately a picture appears. You don't have to wait for writing the picture, you just click on the picture and then the idea is communicated. Very complicated ideas, very complicated emotions are being picturized. Now you want to congratulate the birthday of your grandchild, and the girl knows what kind of picture you have to send. A smiling baby or a baby a little shy of. All these expressions are there in the pictures. Sometimes you may be rather wishing happy birthday to a 60-year-old friend of yours, and she may just send you back as a very young girl shy of receiving that kind of a thing, and you are really moved. And then a clipping of a girl dancing. All kinds of things are there, which is not a simple transformation. It is a major transformation, conversion of metaphors, terms, phrases, whatever, into pictures, moving pictures. And gradually you will be able to notice the difference between printed material based sensibility and then the pictorial, life related representation of ideas. Whatever you say in the classroom, you have to render that plausible as life related process, life related ideas. They will not be able to understand just philosophical speculation, abstract ideas. They will require the real evidence for it. I remember a 3-year girl in IAC. I was in Indian Institute of Science at that time. I was informing the baby that I was present for your first birthday, and then I gave you a piece of the cream part of the cake into your mouth. Show me. That was the immediate response. Show me was, you might have kept the photograph of that. So show me. Immediate natural response of a 3-year-old girl. She was not asking any details, any description. She just says, show me. That kind of change has taken place, and Open University function is therefore very much clear, and I am happy to know that Open University, Sinarayana Open University of Kerala, is now using all available digital technologies, and also IGNOU is using that kind of technology these days. But we will have to strain at the leash to be up to date in using technology, because we belong to some alphabetical kind of generation. Good if we were somewhere around X, Y, and so on. But some of us are even far back in the alphabetic system. Now people have exhausted and started Gen Alpha. Okay, all the best.
Thank you, sir, for a thought-provoking address. We can all agree that open education is increasingly shaping the future direction of higher education worldwide. We have with us Professor Dr. Peter Scott, Chief Executive Officer of the Commonwealth of Learning Canada, whose global perspective on open learning, digital transformation, and collaborative frameworks have been instrumental in shaping international best practices. It is our great honor to invite Professor Scott, who will be addressing us virtually for the special address.
As a champion of the open mission for universities such as yours, I am delighted to have a few minutes with you to consider the challenge of moving mode in education. This is a challenge for all single-mode institutions worldwide of whatever type. For the conventional institutions, the case to move to a dual mode is irresistible. Institutions offering both distance and in-person tuition are becoming very common. For example, in a survey of national open distance learning policy and practice in the Commonwealth, which COL undertook in 2021, South Africa reported that of 26 accredited higher education institutions in that country, 9 former conventional, fully in-person institutions were also already offering some distance education programs. While in India that same year, our survey noted 93 institutions already registered a dual mode, with many more to join over the years to date. These conventional classroom-based institutions generally use pedagogies that are tuned to the experience of the rooms they have on campus and the timetable that allows students and teachers to use those rooms. The very architecture of the space, the number of seats, the walls themselves, effectively create psychological limits to innovation. And sadly, for some conventional thinkers, that tends to mean just digitizing a classroom experience, lifting it unchanged to drop into a new channel. Over COVID, that meant emergency remote teaching, and often did not go well, because a mindset locked into the inherent limits of an in-person classroom with those walls and seats does not take advantage of a new medium. It creates the new starting with a deficit. What these institutions need to do is to reimagine learning, with pedagogy opened by the new mediums to create new shapes. And the best, of course, are trying hard. Now, distance mode institutions have a great advantage. You have already looked away from the common conventions of the classroom. The lectures and the movements of students around a physical campus, all these elements that drive the pedagogy deployed in the conventional old mode universities have already been reconsidered. But as you now look through the digital to even in-person options to add to the distance offer, you too must innovate in pedagogy. So what do you need to do? I will note today 4 essentials, all equally vital, but in a very deliberate order, right here. In reverse order, 4th, design. The heart of the change in pedagogy is learning design, a process by which an academic story is woven into a number of instruments to leverage creative ideas to, for instance, introduce interaction at key points on the narrative arc of a syllabus, assessment integrated as learning, and even social elements to turn an oft lonely journey into one that can be appropriately shared. Third, your base of resource. New pedagogies create new resources as a resource base, a new vision perhaps of the library where credit associated with new courses can be reconsidered along with e-texts and other resources, new labs, new practicals, etc. Thinking about resources creatively reflects thinking about credit, its flows and its exchange, all thinking differently. COL recommends a serious policy and practice look at micro-credentials and skill outcomes. A focus on the development of small things that carry credit and that can unbundle your curriculum will allow you to start to think differently about resources and their use. So, second, the technical and policy ecosystem that can carry this change. Digital offers many advantages, but comes with cost and new capacities that your team must grow, matching systems with the policies to govern them. There's not just a learning management systems approach, but all of the data systems that sit around it to enroll, manage, and support learners and staff. To give one example, for learners, digital offers data that can be analytic, helping both self-reflection and supported monitoring of progress, all of which empower possible new pedagogies for the new learning design back where we started. And now, coming in to number one, the business of learning itself. For me, the first thing to consider, as in all innovation, is that change must be sustained by a clear understanding of the new business and the model that supports it. Starting with where you are and fully understanding the business of where you want to be, without just copying an old mode, which is anyway, as we've already noted, it's self-changing, is really important. A call study, about to come out now as 2026, analyses Commonwealth educational change at all levels through the lens of understanding the business of what will change. Costs against benefits. Now, public institutions often look away from these matters, believing that their hands and their costs are tied. But any scholar knows that asking difficult questions to create interesting answers is our very trade. Whether a contact-based institution who wants also to introduce distance education, or a distance education institution who wants to begin offering fully digital and even then potentially in-person provision to open out access, the transition to multi-mode provision requires revisiting the underpinning business model. That means working through the following business model questions, amongst others. Start with the value proposition for the transition. That's a clear market analysis, first and foremost. Who will be the students we expect to make use of the new offer? How will we make them aware of the new mode? And how will we engage with them through the new learning pathways we will come to design and create? Next, backing up through the things we've just noted, what are the new skills needed by the university leadership, the academic and support teams, who will create the new pathways and the products in the ecosystem that you will need? Can you work alone, or who will be the logical partners to help you to create that new mode? How will you develop the skills to design the new products for learning? Is that a new team or an existing team reskilled? And then, backing up again, how do you cost those core activities which will need to change or need to be added as you do the design? Consider the cost and benefit of the key resources that will be needed in that resource base. Rigorous consideration of such a model is essential because it converts aspirations into a coherent, fundable, and quality-assured operating plan. A good business model framework, understood by you, your executive team, and your whole wider team, aligns your mission, your markets, your pedagogy, your technology, with governance, finance, and risk, and of course, national priorities and global commitments. Done well, it's a vision to motivate and bring everyone together. Cole argues that exploring and agreeing a clear evidence-based business model is a linchpin that turns policy intent into durable educational impact. It sets realistic enrollment and cost assumptions for diversified revenues and embeds quality assurance, student support, and risk management. Without it, institutions are likely to drift, over-promising access, underfunding delivery, and eroding the trust. With the business model in place, leaders phase growth, safeguard academic standards, secure public and partner investment, and keep equity at the center. In short, a good business model exercise isn't a paper exercise. It's an operating system that can make technology-enabled public education sustainable and resilient. None of this is terribly hard, and institutions worldwide are facing these challenges in both directions as they converge in the middle. The conventional institutions moving away from in-person only through digital to a mix of multiple modes, and distance institutions moving through digital to dual mode and supporting even valuable in-person options. While most countries have universities that must face this challenge alone, India, through the newly constituted Open Universities Association, can share this challenge as a team. Strength through institutional collaboration and the creation of a shared national roadmap for an open future. It is great that your meeting is exploring these challenging ideas at this challenging time, and the Commonwealth of Learning will be with you as you work together. Indeed, we are already working with you on some of these very issues right now, and that is exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Scott. May I now invite Professor Dr. Sanjeev Sonawane, the respected President of the Indian Association of Public Open Universities and Honorable Vice Chancellor of Yashwantrao Chavan, Maharashtra Open University, to address the gathering.
Okay, after tea break.
We shall resume our session after a tea break. Inviting all our distinguished dignitaries to enjoy our hospitality.